Yeah. Okay, so what have we got on our current behavior tree? So we have a selector. That means it's going to do one of these following ones. So first off, it checks, are you within 300? If it is, it says lockdown. No, if you are more than, hang on, no. Yeah, it's inversed, so it's further away then. So if you are further away than 300, we're going to print to the debug log, lockdown is so lonely. And if it manages to do that, it's not even going to bother evaluating this, right? Because we have a selector. However, this fails, it will go on to the next one. And this says, well, if you are 300 or less, then it's going to go ahead and say, hey, why are you so close? And then here is where we left off. It then gets a random location in a radius, and then it moves to it. So if you remember, that's how we had that behavior earlier. But if we move this close to it, it will move to a random location. Sometimes it looks like it's running away, but the reality is it's just choosing a random location within a certain distance threshold. So sometimes it comes towards you like that. And that is just one movement. It looked like it's going different movements, but it's the nav mesh, right? It chose this as a location over here. So the nav mesh gave it a route to go along. I think it might have chosen a point higher up, and it's not too sure where to go, perhaps. But yeah, so that's how we got that behavior. So what I suggested to myself at the end of last stream was that we try and create a custom service to detect, are we now far enough away so we can stop moving? And that would be an interesting way to do it, to learn about these services a little bit. So services are something that sit on a bottom of a node. So like we have these decorators on the top, services sit on the bottom, and what they allow you to do is, one, they can be evaluated on the way up. So if you think of this tree coming up and down, the flow of it, it'll check this. Not successful, it goes up, and then it goes down to this next one. If it's not successful, it goes back up, or even if it is successful, it goes back up. So every time it passes through here, you can hook into it and you can ask it to perform some logic for you. But one of the extra powerful things with the services is that you're able to actually run things on tick. So with this here, this close enough decorator, it only gets evaluated the moment you come down here, and then if you are close enough, it says this. Or let's say you're too close. Sorry. If you're too close, it goes ahead and does this. I forgot this is an inverted one. So if you're too close, it goes ahead and does this. So when it does this, get a location and then move to, this can take around 5 seconds or so, let's say, to do that bit of behavior. In the meantime, if this changes, it doesn't, no one cares about it. No one knows about it. All we can really do is we can try and use one of those breakout things where we say, what should we do if the value changes? But because we're using a custom decorator, we don't really have that option available to us. We're not just watching a variable as we were earlier over here, where we can say, hey, what happens if it changes? On result change, who should it notify about the abort? So there might be a way to do that, but really we can try and use a service for this, because instead of relying on only getting to evaluate this thing, this question of are we close enough, on this node, what we can do is we can add on a service. We can tell it to maybe constantly check, hey, am I close enough? And if so, we can break out of this tree completely, hopefully, and have it start again. Because basically we just want to go far enough away from the person. So we're going to try and do that. But I don't really know where to start. So I'm going to guess that we go for a new service. So let's go ahead and make a new. Oh, there's a new one. Why is there one called Service Blueprint Based New? Not used for creating native CPP classes. When service receives the activation event. No. Okay, well, we're just going to go with base. I have no idea what new is, even though it sounds the newer one to use. So this is our base class at the moment. Let's go to view it in the here. We're going to call this a, oh, I made one last time. That is why. Okay, so we're going to rename this one that we started BT. This is a service, and then this is close enough. So it's the same sort of functionality, right? We're going to go into here. That on. Now we need to figure out how this works. So I'm guessing we have similar sort of stuff. We have this receive activation. So how did our decorator work? Seem like a receive activation. But that receive activation is the same as the receive execute. Let's have a look. Oh, I think it says a little. Let's look at the tooltips. No, it's literally just that first line. Service became active. Alternative AI version. We'll probably use the one with the AI afterwards. Okay, receive tick is good. So could we constantly do this, I guess? Okay. My thoughts here is that we go out, we check the distance, so we'd use the same sort of logic as we've got in here. Don't know if we have an owned actor. Yes, we do, which is nice. And we actually have the pawn, so we don't have to get the controller out. Right, so we can get rid of this bit. We can pass in our controller pawn here instead. And we can do this evaluation, I guess, right? And then we can update something. And I guess would we in our behavior tree maybe put a decorator on here, and we change that decorator, and we in the same way we had something like this, right? We change it to say, hey, I've been oh, I don't know if that, and how do you change it back? Sorry, midway through thoughts there, but what I know is that we can how long is, sorry, I'm not finishing sentences at the moment. I know that we can like set Blackboard values and stuff from here. So I'm just trying to think, how would we use it, and would that actually change anything? We're updating it, but nothing is going to make it break out because of a service. I'm not too sure what kind of end events we've got. So I might do a bit of a Google and have a look what we can find on create custom service UE for AI behaviors. Documentation. There we go. We got a example. Let's see, it says in here. So services attach composite or tasks task nodes, and will execute at their defined frequency as long as their branch is being executed. These are often used to make checks and to update the Blackboard. These can take place traditional parallel nodes in other behavior trees. So we had a look at parallel nodes before, where you can have two things checking at once. You can have like move forward, but in parallel you can say check, am I close enough? And this kind of replaces that concept, I believe. So okay, the default focus creates a shortcut to accessing the actor in your. Oh, is this one that's built in already? Creates a shortcut to access an actor in your. by setting focus the AI controller. Set the focus of AI controller to an actor. You can directly access it from the AI controller instead of accessing a Blackboard. Oh, I didn't know that. So that must just be part of the AI controller that they each have a focus. That's interesting. What's that word? Favorite word. Okay. This takes in an actor key. A reference. That's the method we use to get this out of the color. Name then no should. Okay. So that's basically saying whatever we call this. Task. This is the service. Or is it when we're clicking on? Is it when we add a service? Let's add a service. Let's do our close enough here. Yeah, node name here. So yeah, my thoughts is that we would have a parameter like in our Blackboard code is close enough. We'll do this to begin with and we'll see if there's another way to do it. So I would guess that we're going to have a new key, a bool is close enough. Like so. Go back here and that we can update that. And then this selector will only happen. Oh, actually, no, because if we did that, we wouldn't be using our custom decorator then, right? Of this, we would just use the service that would control it. But then I mean, we could put this service higher up actually. I'm trying to think though, because we move this to be on here instead. And could we set a decorator in here, which is just going to say, hey, is the is close enough? No, we wouldn't want that. We would want it maybe down here instead. So let me, for now, I'm going to turn this into a new node instead. Well, like we did with the last ones, we'll chop this off. Start, so we still have the example of where we started. Just whack this over here. Get rid of that and that. Okay, that is moved down. So yeah, I was thinking if we get rid of those decorators, then we could get this on here instead. So let's move that down onto that. Copy and just paste it. Oh, you can paste it that way, that'll do. Now here we kind of have two things going on here. We're going to say, is it set? And then this is going to be not set, I guess. No, so if you're not close enough, this one will be the not set. I'm melting. Yeah, I've just turned off my fan and within 2 minutes I'm already unpleasantly warm. Even though there's no rain and that, it's still definitely warm in the house. Or in the world. Babby's first Unity games. Good. Runner. Have you tried following Games Plus James tutorials, Nanaj? I found his tutorials really good. He now does paid ones on Udemy, but I mean, they're reasonably priced, but there's plenty. His old content's still on YouTube. Is this the new Fall Guys patch? It's intense. Joke will never alter me. No, I haven't seen anything about the new Fall Guys patch, actually. I am tempted to look it up very briefly. Yeah. Eurogamer. Do they have their own official website? Does it say where the patch notes are? Patch notes in this thread. They do it all via Twitter. Okay, so there's less of the tail grabbing final. Crashes. Messaging from physics behaving erratically at high frame rate. On levels like tiptoe. Okay. Crown in Fall Mountain not to be grabbable. Ah, so there's times where people missed it. Might have not been them not pressing it. That's upsetting. Collisions in block party to allow players to bypass that. Ah, so can you no longer jump on top of the edges? Did they do that? I hope they did. Parties sometimes falling due to too many requests. Characters. Oh, player names. Are the player names coming back then? Big T's achievement not unlocking, and I got the Big T's achievement. That's when you do a taunt and finish first. And then fix some game controller modals. Oh, okay. Sweet. Dunzo. And obviously the new final round, which is great. Block party is the one where you're standing still and the blocks are coming from the front and they try and push you off the back of the platform. And people used to jump up on the side. You said you saw someone did it and they just avoided the whole round. Staying up there. So I don't know if they mean they changed the collision to make it so you can't jump up there. That'd be nice if so. Because yeah, no one likes cheesing. Apart from those who are cheesing, right? But then if everyone cheeses, then what have you got left? Yeah, the only thing you can do is you can get bumped up. You can go up there too and push them off. But if they walk right to the edge, it's pretty much hard to do that. Anyway, back to work. I honestly have despised tutorials because they usually glaze over the Unity stuff that I need help with, explain excessively the programming stuff, or they are no-code tutorials. Yeah, I mean, I think I understand where you're coming from, dude. You feel like you have questions, you have a lack of understanding of things, you feel like you don't know how to do any certain things, or maybe a majority of things, and you kind of want someone to explain how everything works. But I found just doing his tutorials, even if he doesn't explain everything, through doing them, you pick up enough skills to think, okay, I can tweak this and start doing things a bit differently. And he's very accessible as well, in terms of like asking stuff. And I know he doesn't stream much, but he's got Discord and he's nice and supportive there. And if you're on a Udemy course of his, then of course for that as well. Anyway, let's get back to the matter at hand. We've done good. We did a good kind of 45 minutes of really just recouping and revisiting. So what else does it say in here then? So run EQS service node can be used to regularly execute EQS stuff as well. That's interesting, Brain. There's a run EQS one that you can do. Interesting. Yeah, this is what I like. This sort of stuff, you know, with the EQS is that you can be like, get me the best point that it discovers, or get me a random one from the top 5%. It's lovely. It's very cool. I like that system. I use a heuristic to define how fit the different ones are. Okay, these exist, right, custom ones. This is what we're interested in. You can create services by clicking the new service button from the toolbar. We've done that bit. Blueprint services are less performance. Okay. Code name, interval. Okay, interval is how often we do it. So let's see. Have we got interval in, is it when we click on it? Interval is there. So we're not going to get it in here. Don't think we have like a default, do we? No. Okay, so the interval is going to be whatever we set it to do. So we want it to happen every 0.5 is fine for now. You can make it deviate so it's a little less predictable, I guess that is. Full tick on start search. Timer on each activation. They were hidden, we'll leave them unticked. Call event tick on task enters the search node. Start will be. I'm not too sure what that means. Does this mean that the next tick time will always be reset to the service's interval value, like 0.5? Oh, I think that basically means, say you have it every second and the tick comes in at like 1.02 seconds. The next tick that comes in, it won't be you have to wait like 0.98. It'll be you have to wait another second again. I believe that's what that is. But yeah, that's less important for now. It doesn't tell us how to actually set them up though, does it? Where's the like create your own? Don't have one. Quick start might have. Don't think it would. Can check. Behaviour Tree services. Oh. Okay, add decorator. Where's the service come into this? Oh, it's in the do your own. Of course it is. So it really teaches us about services, eh? Services that attach and move to task. Hint. The script in the services will be similar to the script in a task. However, instead of event receive execute AI, you want to use event receive activation AI. Because they are a service, you'll also not need a finish execute. Okay, so we can just we don't need to finish because it doesn't need to return anything. It just does it, right? So we can essentially just update this then. So where's our bool value? Can we give it in the same way that we controlled this sort of stuff? So can we say this? This is actually going to be renamed. I'll currently compile this and say it doesn't exist, right? So we'll click on it and say create it. Say new distance, not view. New distance, like so. All that, it should be quiet. Oh no, we don't even want the new distance, do we? It's going to be like a boolean, isn't it, instead? So is close enough. Well, let's not call it the exact same thing. Okay, it's a bad name, but we're going with it. Okay, and the value we want, this is going to be set Blackboard value as bool instead. Chuck this execution pin into this instead. It's going to come out of this. So that's all. So we're saying when you get your tick, and the ticking is based on how often we tell it to, distance threshold, to create this. We want to expose them both. You can set a distance here, right? A default. So let's check that to the. Okay, so we're saying is close enough. We need to change this to is close enough for the variable. That's what we want to be writing to. So at the moment, all that's going to do is update our close enough. Because if you think now, we no longer. What we were doing before is we were evaluating it in our decorator, right? Here is where we were doing our evaluation of distance. We're no longer using that decorator, right? We look at our behavior tree now, we are literally just checking, are they close enough? So this should set it for us instead. It'll be interesting to see if this works. So what behavior? Let's talk through what we think we're going to get from here. So the tree comes in, it's going to do one of the following. It's going to try and do this. It's going to say, hey, are you... Is close enough not set. So are they not close enough? This is the case, and that would be the case based on the output of this. Well, it may not tick initially, so it might be false initially. I'm tempted to just see if we can get a print in here as well, just so we can see is this ticking every half a second like we think it is as well. So service tick, we're just right there. We'll make this last as well for, let's just do like 1 second, shall we? Because then we should know we have 2 or 3 on the screen maximum at once. Let's go for a nice orangey color. Not even orange. Look over there, don't worry about these colors. File, save. Let's see what happens. I mean, we could even concat that in. We could append service tick, and then we're going to add the delta time into there. See how long has passed. It's a more specific way of seeing what we right. Okay, save. Let's have a look what happens. We press play. Oh, okay, that lockdown is lonely is a bit much right now, but I can see that heartbeat. 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, we're getting 2 of them every second, right? As we expect. Can't see it, but if we pause, you can see it here. Again, but it's it disappears after a second, right? I think there's a way you can do it when you print out a message. Hold on. Where's that debug task? I've made a debug task. We make this. Oh, you can't do it from here, I don't think. There's a way when you actually write, you can give a category, so it'll override the same message category each time. My lonely lockdowns. I know, dude. Sad situation. Okay, for now, we can either write it to a different log so we can see it, or we can only do it when you're, we don't have to say this one, right? We could just disconnect this. How do you delete a note, like an arrow? Do I just move the arrow back? No. Must be a way to move this node. Control click? Okay, control click, it did it. Okay. So what we should see now, let's pop this off, shall we, so we can see what's happening in our tree. It should just stay on this, I think. Go back to our game, press play. Uh-oh. What's happening? What's happening? Is it because there's no logic here, so it always succeeds, and it's just coming back up here? No, because this would reevaluate. I break this? Move this off screen a sec, sorry. No, this works. We've seen this work. That shouldn't be an issue. This is fine. This we didn't really change either, right? Huh. Okay. I don't know why. I think it's purely because I've disconnected the. Sorry, let me get my. It's because I've disconnected this. See? Oh, hang on. Or was I just not playing? I pressed play, but it didn't play. Oh, can you see the behavior tree is not doing what we want it to? Okay, let's connect these and see whether it then works. Learning something. So, right? Yeah. So, if there's no end to the tree, I guess it doesn't evaluate it. I have some optimization, knowing that it'll always succeed. Okay, so what I'd like to... I just almost want like a return true one. Very simple one, but... I don't know what kind of tasks you have. Alright, I guess we can have a wait. Instead, that means it'll have something to do. There we go. Right, okay, so now let's try and press play then. Save, play. There we go. So it's just waiting. So what we want to know is if we are to... I don't know, they look close enough already. Or maybe they're not. Oh, okay, so that service is applying. Can you see? So every half a second or so, it's variance because of the tick rate. It'll check. But what's good about that is once it's... What we can do now is we can tap into that logic, right? We can say, hey, once you're no longer 300, then stop running away. I'm sure why it tries to get stuck on... It gets stuck on some of these things. Silly. Chuck this here. There you go. It comes down. And it will go off to the location that it chooses. But if we move away, it doesn't stop. So that's what we're going to try and do next, right? So to do that, I believe we could just have a on results change. We want to execute self. Lower priority of both. Don't quite know what the lower priority is here. Lower priority would, I'd assume, would be anything further down here too. Well, we can try it, right? Because we'll see. Technically, what that means is it should only interrupt it while we're doing a wait. So if we increase this wait duration, like 1 second instead, that might allow us to see what's happening. Check every 1 second. It should interrupt that wait. It's really hard to see, actually. 1, 1, 1. I guess. Okay, wait there. An easy way to see this: if we set this to 5, and we save, we run. Oh, sorry, no. If we set this to 5, and we get rid of this, save, and we have a brief look at weight on this, so we can see the weight down here. So 5, 3, 5, 4, 3. We'll do it on the next one. 2, 1, 5. Oops, I calculate 3, 2, 1, and now we're on 5. We'll move close. Yeah, you see nothing happens because it was during that wait, right? But if we know it's going to go around now, or we keep it close to it, once that expires, it should now evaluate and do it, right? Okay, that's what we expected. What we're trying to do then is if we change this to say, we would like to just cancel ourselves, we should see a different result. Because this is getting evaluated every half a second, we should be able to see changing. So let's come here. We can see this is 5. 5. We go close. You can see it interrupted it, which is great. It went to do the move too. But what's not happening is when we're no longer close to it, it doesn't seem to be cancelling this. Right? But if we change this to lower priority things as well, that will also encompass these. Oh, that's only lower priority things. Brilliant. So if we want both, that'll do all of these. That's great. Now I understand it. Here we go. It's worthwhile doing this. So what we should see now, I'm sure you can imagine what the one would do on its own, so I'm not going to do an example of that. We're just going to do an example of where you're going to see this counting down. 3, 2, 1. Okay, so now it interrupts it. As soon as it gets 300 away, it goes back to here. Can you see? So I'll run away whenever that changes. So that means we don't actually need the breakout on this as well. I guess you could have put that abort self on that too, but yeah, that's good. So now it'll run away. It'll move whenever we get close enough. It's checking every half a second. That's why it's a little bit laggy, or there's a bit of a delay to it. So if we want to change that, we just go in here and say, hey, I want you to check every 0.01 instead. That's a lot. And we want 0 deviation. That's going to be costly, so you wouldn't really do this. But what we should then have, one, we're getting a spam of our ticks. You can see that they're every 0.12 seconds. But now what we should see, we move this across, it will more accurately, it'll instantly do it. Yeah, that's a lot more reactive now. Cool, okay. So we've done our first service. Is there anything, I don't know, Brain, if you're still in chat, the things that you did with the service that are a little different to what I've done? I am doing is player close in tick using service. So the exact same thing that I did, right? Okay, that's cool. So we've done the same thing. That's all right. I'm trying to think what the other things that we can do instead of on tick. Maybe it'd be useful for me to look at that. Is services can be used not just on tick, but you can check on the way out things as well, right? So if we wanted to do, I'm trying to think what we would do. Oh, okay. No, this is no. Okay, no. Hold on. It could work. No, it couldn't. It might work. It's not a great example, but it's something that we can try and do. So let's make a new service again. We're going to make a new one based off of Blueprint base. We should have copied it because it's a right pain in the ass having to rename it this way. It's not that much. So we want a service, and we're going to call this one like exit on the way up. Way up, close enough, check. Okay, so first off, we're going to take this logic and we will copy it, chuck it over with our list of things that we've done already. We don't need that. We've done this now. Okay. So now what we want to do then But this one, we're going to change it. We're going to get rid of this service. And we're going to add on our new service. Can you do it like that? Okay, so we go to service. We want to add way up. So we don't want this to be a ticking one. So we're going to go into the actual service. We're going to try and figure out some of these functions. So no, not macro. Delete the macro. Okay, functions override. Receive deactivation. So that'll be on the way out and in. I don't know what the search is. Maybe that's for EQS. So let's just go for deactivation AI. I'm pretty sure that is the one we'd probably need. And if we take that same logic as we had last time, which was our other service, this one, just use the same logic. We know it works. We haven't got a delta time anymore, so we just take the end of this. I'll tell you what, no, it might be nice just to have something print out. We know when it's, how frequent it's happening. And make it a bit more obvious. We can know when. Okay, so we want to take this pawn and change it to one of those. That's fine. And then we're going to do way up service. We'll just put check this time. Oh, we're not actually putting in a value either, so we can just say put one in. That's exclamation mark. Care too much. Hello there, spam. Good evening to you. How goes it? Okay, so we want this to, that's fine. I think he'll be checking this a bit less regularly, so we can make this last for 2 seconds rather than the 1. That's not a problem. Now we're still gonna, if we go ahead and compile, it'll complain about these. Let's create those variables. Create that as well. We'll keep the same names, just expose them out. Don't press help, press compile. Save it, go to our actual tree, which is here now. Sorry, my bad. So in here, we're going to make sure the distance threshold, we didn't set a default. So let's set that to 300. We don't want it target location. We want is close enough is what's going to be set in there. Okay, sweet. So the way I envisage this happening now is it'll come through here. Nothing will happen on the way down. It'll go, hey, is it not set? The first time it won't be set. So it'll go into here and it'll wait. Now it's never going to check. No, because once it completes this, it'll go back up. That selector is then done. And so it'll go back up. And this selector has no other root, so it goes back to the root. Our behavior tree is over. Next time behavior tree gets called, it'll start from the top again. It'll go through. But on the way up, you see, this is going to get evaluated. So it should be every 5 seconds, I believe. Unless we get close to it, and then it'll be however long it takes to move. So that's what I'm expecting to see. So the behavior really here is it's only going to update every time it stops waiting. Like it's closing its eyes and opening them, checking, are they still there? Alone. Poor little cylinder and sphere have never become good friends, despite the time we forced them to have together. I'm doing well, thank you very much, Spam Pancake. I had a good day at work yesterday, I had a good day at work today. That always helps me feel better. It gives me energy to do my own stuff. If I don't have a good day at work, I tend to feel like I ought to be doing more work to catch up, and then I find it hard to relax. So yeah, it's been nice. Been up early and on my morning walks and stuff as well. So stuff like that helps me stay positive. I'm generally quite. I'm not someone who suffers from depression or generally like being unhappy. So like when I say stay positive, too dramatic. People who've got it tough, and I'm not. Yeah, it still helps me enjoy myself. What's your evening like today? All right, let's have a look at this in action then. So, wait, should get a print out soon. There, service check. Again, after 5 seconds, service check. Right. So that should mean that if we are lucky, or not lucky, just careful with how we do this. See that? Every time we see a pulse, we can move it in and out, and it won't know about it. Oh, we could play a game of what's the time, Mr. Wolf? Who in the UK? I don't know if anyone's here. Maybe you played it in different countries as well. But we used to have a little, as a kids game, you used to play on the playground when you're in primary school, called What's the Time, Mr. Wolf? And essentially, wasn't it something like there'd be one person at the end who'd be the wolf looking away, and then you'd have everyone else starting on a line far behind them, facing towards the person who's looking away. And then someone would ask, they'd all shout, "What's the time, Mr. Wolf?" And they'd say like 3 o'clock. And then they'd have to take 3 steps towards the wolf. But the wolf, no, could the wolf look and catch him? I can't remember. But then essentially what would happen is then once they got close enough, so you keep doing it, and the different times, like 5 o'clock, you do 5 more steps, and they get closer and closer to the wolf. But then as soon as you ask and he says dinner time, the wolf gets to turn around, and whoever he catches first loses. That was the game. So, yeah, it's not quite. I always thought that if they saw you move, yeah, there's another game you can play where they get to like open their eyes, and if they see you move, then you're out as well. So that's what this is in a way. Is every time we have this pulse, when it starts on 5 now, okay, there, we can go in and out. We can dance around. As long as we're not in the 5 second, it doesn't care. There we go, 5 seconds. But if we stay in there and we're lazy and we hang about here, you can see it runs away because it's seen us, because when it opened its eyes after 5 seconds, it saw that we were there. So we could simulate a game like that where we have to try and move closer to it, but it looks every 5 seconds. And as long as we move in that time, there's quite a lot of modern games with mechanics like that, actually. I think I'm trying to think of like Little Nightmares, that game where there's quite a few things where there's like a white beam or a beam of light that's scanning something, and then it goes off, and then you need to run, and then the white beam comes on, and if it happens to catch you while it's on, then it will reach out and try and get you, for example. Who says the time in that game? The wolf says the time, so the wolf will keep saying times to try and get people closer to him. But if the people get to the line where the wolf is, then they're free. So he wants them to get close, but if everyone gets too close, they'll all win and he'll lose. So, and because he's facing the other way, he can't see how close they are. So you basically say numbers and keep getting them closer and closer, hoping that they're not getting free. And then when you just say dinner time instead of saying in time, you get to turn around and chase and catch someone. The wolf could turn around, and if he catches you moving, you're out. Oh, really? That was how it worked, was it? Could it just move at any point? I definitely remember that whole thing where you have to look like you're not moving. And if he turned and saw you, like, no, I saw you. And then you go out to the side feeling miserable. It was an epic game. Some good games back when we were kids. Stop having fun after a while, don't we? Anyway, okay. So I feel I have a bit of an idea how these services work as well, from what I've seen this far. The searches I'm not so sure of, but we'll try and build up a more complicated behavior at some point. But our topic this month is AI behavior tree. So I think we've got a general. This concludes our summary of the different components of a behavior tree. We have the selector and sequence nodes. We have our tasks, custom tasks, decorators, custom decorators, services, custom services. And we've made one of each of those, and we've used some of these escape conditions as well here. We've used the service that checks on tick. We've used the service that checks only on the way out. I guess the one thing that's not clear here is that it's checking on the way out rather than on the way past, because it's technically like in and out is at the same time on this particular behavior tree. But I'm confident that's how it works. You don't need to check that.